Imagine having your own secluded African bush home where you and your friends can enjoy the ultimate safari experience. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, this could become a reality. Tumbeta House is located in the heart of Djuma Private Game Reserve, the home of Wild Earth. You could win a chance to stay at this intimate wilderness retreat, offering you the rare and highly sought-after privilege of your own home in the bush. The prize includes 3 nights for 6 people and includes daily game drives, a chance to see the Wild Earth Camp, and have dinner with one of our guides. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the end of February 2021 and you could be heading to Djuma, the place that we call home. Available dates are limited, so terms and conditions apply.
Oh, what are you doing? Are you trying out for the ballet? Now it's an itchy bottom. Up we get. Mom's coming. Everybody's moving off.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Nothing but another stunning morning to start off the day here on Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. A little bit of, well, this is actually the west that we're looking at, but at least there's some sunlight creeping through at least there. It's a little bit pink, so I'm very excited. Lots of plans. Want to check out hyenas and definitely want to find leopards upon leopards this morning. So jump on board, everyone. It's your safari, your live safari through the African bush. Welcome, welcome. Lots of cloud cover, and even though we're looking out to the west, it's got that beautiful pink tinge. Off to the east where the sun is actually rising, it's a bit of a more of a whitey color. So we thought we'd show you the beautiful pink that we've experiencing the last couple days here in Djuma. Hi everyone, it's me Trishal. I've got David on camera. Yes, and we're out and about and we're thinking leopards, leopards and leopards. I want to follow up on Tlalamba, and I said also mentioned hyenas earlier. And we already saw one in camp. Just while we were doing checks, it was, I think, looking for a bit of coffee. It was in Ndebele around camp. So we're going to kind of focus around that. I'd love to see some elephants as well because I didn't see any yesterday. And I've actually been dreaming about them. Oh, Davi, I see a lonely impala ram under that tree. Almost looks like a statue. Gorgeous. Well, now you know what my plans are. So how about you get your questions and your comments ready? So talk to us. It's your live safari. Use that hashtag WildEarth or at FC on the YouTube chat stream. You can also go up to our website, register, and use our questions box. And if you're a kiddie under 18, you can use kids' questions at wildearth.tv. We'd love to hear from you. Look at this lonely ram this morning. There is nobody else around to be his friend apart from David and I. But like I said to you before, we like to start off the morning on quarantine, these being the clearings just outside of camp, because it offers us really good direction. We may see a lot of antelope around, or we may not, and that gives us a bit of a clue as to how to go about our day, because if there isn't too much action in terms of antelope or herbivores in quarantine, it could be an indication that there are predators around. And the next thing to do would be to look for tracks. And sometimes, if we're very lucky, we'll hear some alarm calls, or we'll hear sawing. I dreamt about sawing too. I had some crazy dreams last night. Anyway, let's get going. We'll keep on moving. Darcy Ann, you say morning coffee with hyenas sounds magical. Comical, definitely, but magical too, Darcy Ann. It really is. You know, every now and then you can have this experience where you are able to watch what's happening, like, you know, outside of being in that situation, if that makes sense. Like, you know, you can just be an observer. And that's what it is with the hyenas now. So this morning I thought to myself, how spoiled am I? Just see a hyena walking by as I'm having my coffee and looking at me, you know, where's mine, it says. And don't even give it a second thought. That's very, very spoiled. And I think there's no better spoiled than being spoiled by nature. I remember when it first happened, it was just crazy. In fact, I remember the first time that I had actually had an on-foot experience with hyenas in camp. And at that time, I had to walk between my room, to leave my room to go to the bathroom. So in the middle of the night, if you feel the urge, got to go to the bathroom. And there I was, been in the bush for like, I don't know, a month, not even. And this hyena just was standing in camp, so I watched it for a little bit, and I see everybody else was fairly cool with the hyenas, so I thought, all right, this is fine. And then I didn't realize that I was standing at the exit where the hyena would use to escape. And then it just ran towards me. I had a crazy feeling inside of me, but I didn't react too badly. Let's have a look at these guys. Didn't react too badly, and very quickly stepped back into my room and closed the door and hoped for the best. Thankfully, I didn't have a hyena hurling towards me like that again. That was quite an experience. Hey, ladies. Enjoying a bit of round leaf teak there. I see an interesting impala just further off to our left. It's one with a floppy ear. Unless it's just doing that. Ah, no. Thought you were floppy earring, but you're not. You're just normal earring with just one ear close to the ground. Well, it's 18 degrees Celsius, 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Here today, very pleasant weather. Good weather for predators. And I want to follow up on Flalamba from yesterday. So first thing I'm going to do is go to that block near Treehouse Dam and see if she actually came out. And remember, I also said to you yesterday, especially along those boundary lines, you can find that if Flalambas come around, Shidulu could also be close by. So we have all that to look forward to. I love mornings. I think the sunrise safaris are my favorite because it feels like there's so much potential. You don't know what's happened overnight, and you can be utterly surprised. Impalas that are king of the world there. I like seeing them like that. Now around termite mounds, you can get very, very nutritious vegetation. And that's why they often look bare. Not because things can't grow around them or on them, but rather because the things that grow around and on the termite mounds are eaten first. And yet again, another quiet morning. Danny, you're looking forward to some spots this morning? So am I. Something happens in our brain. I mean, you may also feel that, but this kind of feeling when you first see a leopard, not the first time ever, but if you're looking for a leopard and then you finally see it and you're the one to find it, I can feel my brain fires off in all the right reward centers when that happens. It's like a feast for your eyes, all those rosettes. Oh, some are very excited this morning. Like me. I see some zebra bottoms. Let's move a little bit forward and check them out. That may have sounded just a little bit creepy. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday morning when we had all these impalas and the zebras together. It was such a peaceful scene. Today too. Oh, they're on that side, so we'll just turn in here. Oh, it's too many nice things to look at. Okay, first I like this impala on the termite mound. In fact, this is the exact termite mound that I have had Hosanna sleeping on a similar kind of day. Bit of sun peeking through and overcast, and I've stood on that termite mound many a time. during bushwalks. Awesome. And our zebras are just butts at this point. Oh, so pretty. Just gorgeous. Everyone just seems so happy and relaxed, which is great for them, but not the most ideal set of clues for us. So we can just enjoy a few moments, I think, because it really is peaceful.
Got a limp, broken leg or something.
Zebra or impala? Yeah, that was from last night or yesterday afternoon. It's that same zebra that we saw. We couldn't get a good look at it, but we think that it's a problem with the hoof. It's interesting to watch a few of the younger. I'm just going to turn in like, okay, all good, Dubby. Some of the younger males have got a lot of energy in them. So as the rut creeps in, their testosterone levels will also go up, even though they cannot compete and they're not in their prime to mate. Their testosterone levels also fluctuate, and they engage in that kind of jumpy behavior. And they move really fast and have a lot of fun too. That's the best time to watch impala for me. During the rut and when it's just starting to creep in. And they behave in all sorts of funny ways. Stormy, you'd like to know if it'd be harder for them to run away from the termite mound, from a predator if they're on the termite mound. No, if you've seen, there was one earlier that just jumped off, just leapt off very athletically, and continued to run. So it wouldn't be, in fact, it would probably be even better for them because they're able to see for a little bit further a distance. Gives them a vantage point. And then they can also jump right off and sprint away. But that's not their general strategy. It's not as if they run up a termite mound when they sense a predator. They're just up there so they can have some of that really nutritious grass. The same types of grass will grow on it, but they may be slightly healthier. Anyway, let's move it along. Oh, Beverly, you'd like to know how old I think that termite mound is. I can tell you at least 3 years old, but that's definitely not how old it is. Termite mounds can get very, very old. So one queen can live for about 50 years, right? And then she has one immediate succession or successor. So one termite mound can be occupied by one colony that will experience one queen and a single successor, and that can be 100 years. And termite mounds are so robust that they can last a very long time. So, gosh, that termite mound is either tens of years old or maybe even 100. It's hard to tell because a lot of the structure is beneath the surface. Today is a good day to find a leopard in a tree. I think you would all agree. Oh, look at that, a little rhyme for the morning. All right, well, off we go. Hopefully we'll find that leopard in a tree.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. Wild Earth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Well, one track here in front of me, and then one track went right there. I want to follow the track with the cubs. Sorry, I'm gone behind the car. That's very rude of me. I want to follow the track with the cubs. Oh, my word. Oh, my word. Okay, so everybody, we've just bumped into Pride of Lion.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
The croc is still holding another one there. It's holding from the hindquarters. I would really want. The wildebeest cross is trying. The croc is holding the tail. It's holding tight. Oh no. Goodness me. Lucky, lucky wildebeest. You have another day to live.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. What is my favorite animal and why? I think I'd have to say a lion. Being able to try and follow them and understand their movements and dynamics is super interesting. People often underestimate them and think that they sleep all the time, but once they get up and start moving around, they are fascinating to watch, and watching them interact with one another is a super highlight for me. If I can pass on this passion and this enthusiasm for lions and prides of lions into a guest that's sitting at home, that's what I'm really going for.
I have just picked up some tracks for a leopardess heading towards quarantine. So what I'm going to do, we came through the center bit of quarantine, so I'm going to take Western quarantine and see what happens. They don't look, they look fairly good, but they look like somebody else has also looked at them because there's vehicle tracks around it and some on top of it. But they look fairly good. So let's try Western quarantine. If it's Kalamba, she could have already moved quite far. Good morning, sweeties. Hi, guy. Girl. We just got a quick look at you because you're nice and close. Yes, you are. Oh, so pretty. So pretty. Also taking this opportunity to listen. So I would suspect that Kalamba moves straight north. So I'm going to use Western quarantine and then maybe Gallagher shortcut, or when I come out onto via tele-access, I'll look for tracks again. Just on these roads, it's very difficult to see them. Thank you, dear Impala. You were gorgeous. Now, if you're wondering what these tall plants are, I must say to you that I'm not 100% sure. It's actually but I suspect that they're cedar. And cedar... Hey guys, sorry. Cedar plant is an invasive species. And I've never seen it on quarantine like this before. There also appeared to be marigolds around there as well. So I wonder if all of the rain has made the conditions good for those invasive species to pop up, or pair species that we don't get in this area. Anyway, I'm going to check out Western Quarantine now, and I'm going to send you over to Chad.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a chilly yet quite sunny Anbion Punda, where we've stumbled upon these elephant bulls, and there's 6 of them, all feeding out in these grasslands here on Anbion Punda. We've come out to these western parts of the reserve to see if we can find any buffalo, elephants, and potentially cheetah. My name's Chad. On camera we got Simon. And we've come out to this beautiful grasslands here on Punda. It is quite a chilly morning. There are lots of rolling hills, quite deep little valleys, and it was a chilly evening last night, so I think a lot of the animals are going to be almost still in the drainage lines, unlike these elephant bulls that we've got here. So I think as it does get a little bit hotter as the morning goes on, hopefully some of those animals like rhinos and buffaloes will then start to come out of those thicker areas and start to feed for the morning. Maybe even head towards water for their morning drink. But you can see here, these elephants, they love in life. They haven't moved too far since we since we found them. They seem like they're just feeding off this grass within this area. And it's amazing. I mean, I was here in this area probably about 3 months ago, and the grass was nowhere near as long as it is now. So I think these elephants are very, very happy. If you were watching yesterday, I was talking about how the elephants, they often prefer grass, especially elephant bulls. If they are getting quite old, their teeth are often quite worn down. And with their teeth wearing down, they don't want to feed off those hard shrubs like trees and branches and things like that. They'll prefer the soft, lush, moist grass that they can feed off now. And with it being a very chilly evening last night, there is a lot of moisture on the grass this morning. So I think these elephants are just going to hang around this area and feed. There's some beautiful lighting coming through as that sun breaks through the clouds. As you can see, I mean, the greens almost pop with the elephants in the background. It does also seem like some of them are just resting. They're not even feeding, they're just resting. Maybe trying to warm up a little bit after the cold night that we had here on Anbion Punda. But it's not often that we see too many elephant bulls together. But it's actually 7 elephant bulls. Sorry, my apologies. I can just see another one over my shoulder. And often look at those two playing. They're almost interlocked tusks. You can hear them making a couple of noises. And that's often a dominance thing. Often 2 elephant bulls, especially when they're younger, they'll almost fight, almost like spar with one another. And they're often actually measuring the lengths of their tusks. I mean, the one that's longer, the other one won't even be able to touch. And often that one is the bigger, more dominant one at that point in their life. But I mean, with these elephants, none of them are actually dominant at this moment. They've all been kicked out of the breeding herds by the females. And they're now coming together to feed, see if they can grow big and strong, and eventually move to the herd and fight the males that are currently mating with some of the females. So in these guys, all they're thinking about is just feeding, drinking water, getting big and strong, and only in a couple of years' time will they then start to try and fight the males within the herd to see if they can then have mating rights. It's a beautiful, very, very calm morning here on Phinda. We had quite a bit of wind yesterday, but for now it's a beautiful morning out. You can hear a couple of birds calling, a rufous-naped lark calling in the background that I can hear. And there those two elephants are pushing one another again. It actually looks like the one on the right doesn't have a tusk on the left. You can actually hear their tusks colliding. How incredible is that? The one's almost wrapped its trunk around the other. Yeah, it does seem like the one on the right doesn't have tusks, but I can see that he's got a small little tusk. I wonder if maybe he was fighting back in the day and maybe that tusk fell out or broke. It would be interesting to know what happened there. It's amazing the different colors on some of these elephants, especially the ones a little bit further right. You can see, I mean, it's a lot of black on it, but then also there's quite a brown color on the elephant. And that would have been from this elephant moving towards a waterhole where it might have used its feet to try and kick up some dust and then throw on itself, just to cool itself down. Also for parasites and things like ticks and that will get into all those little crevices in the elephants. And after they've thrown mud on themselves to cool themselves down and to protect themselves, what they often do is they'll move to a tree, quite a hardy tree like a marula tree with quite rough bark. And once it's dry, they'll often then rub themselves up against that tree, just to try and remove all those parasites in and amongst those little crevices within the elephants. So, I mean, it will be amazing to see if it does start to warm up today, if they do start to head towards water. But I think, yeah, for now we're going to spend a little bit of time here, and then we're most likely going to head on, see if we can go find any signs of cheetah or those buffaloes that we see. But I think for now we'll spend a little bit of time here with these elephants, see if they do start moving. But for now we're going to send you over to Pridelands, see what their plan is for the morning.
Good morning everybody. Welcome to the dawn here in Eco Training Pridelands. It is a wonderful 19 degrees Celsius, and the rain that was falling for most of the night seems to have cleared. Hello everybody, my name is Steve, joined by Johan on camera, and as always very excited to have you with us. Now we're going to just turn back over to the sun that is sort of trying to make its way out of the clouds over there, and we're just going to allow you a few moments to reflect on the week, a few moments to reflect on the morning, and a few moments to just listen to the sounds of the dawn. Okay, everyone, so we're going to just scratch around in this area, see what else we can find. We're going to send you over to Tswalu Kalahari to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Tswalu Kalahari. Look at this gorgeous found that we've just found here in this edges of the mountains here. This guy literally just woke up. And welcome back to the Kalahari, shall I say, this morning. My name is Johan, and behind the camera this morning again is Morgan. And we will be your team in the Kalahari this morning. And we have just driven through this valley this morning, coming through this area, traveling a bit further south, as we are planning to go traveling a bit of the newer sections of Tswalu in the far central southern sections. And so we have literally just come across this beautiful, stunning giraffe bull that just woken up as he was still fast asleep in this position. And just as you came to us, he's just woken up. Just so beautiful seeing this stunning solitary bull just fast asleep as he was sitting down in the grass. It almost looked like he was standing in tall grass, not having any legs. But yeah, very cool. And straight away, as he's woken up, he started to feed. Very gorgeous to see this bull in such a gracious, stunning grassland area, and then suddenly we're having all these monotonous larks calling all around us in such a cool melody, in such beautiful sounds all around us right now. Yeah, they're literally just singing about all around us right now. So yeah, this giraffe bull, it's very interesting looking at giraffes when they're sleeping. They can stand sleeping, standing up, but yeah, you do see them most of the time lying down. They also don't sleep for a short time of the day. It's mostly to do with sitting down, well, sleep for a, like you can say, about 4 hours a day or so. And most of the night is when they will forage, especially, well, look for browsing value on the good line of trees, but then looking at areas like where you'll have a lot of moonshine at night, and so they could also mission quite a bit into nighttime, feeding quite a lot at night. But yeah, generally looking at the general picture, it's feeding quite a lot at during day, early mornings, as we just seen this guy waking up early in the morning. So beautiful and gracious. So we're gonna keep on going and see if we see what else we can find driving a bit further down the road. But yeah, just a nice way to start the morning with this gorgeous giraffe bull that was just fast asleep in this position. So, Craig, you're asking if giraffes are feeding more in the day than elephants. You know what? They do feed quite a bit of a huge amount of the day, both of them actually. Elephants will eventually in the middle of the day start looking for a spot to maybe stand in a thicket to rest a bit and so on. But I've also worked in an area in the Eastern Cape as opposed to, which is on the eastern side of South Africa, as opposed to Kruger Park, where I've been at in the northern sections, and there's two different types of behaviors I've seen happening as well. Like in the Eastern Cape, you get the like some of those tuskless elephants that you find out there, and those guys I've seen middle of the day actually not really feeding much in that situation, conditions and so on, just as a good resting spot, standing, sleeping. Or you'll get those rolling hills, slopes down, like rounded, rolling, sloping hills in those areas that I've seen that they stand like sort of on the edge of that and just flop down onto the edge on a steep slope, which they'll sleep at. But bottom line is they have a very strong equivalent in comparing the two, feeding at the same type of rate, time length of the day, shall I say. But yeah, sorry for the
The power line we're seeing here, guys, we're literally just coming down one of our main roads, and believe it or not, in this northwestern corner of the country, you literally, this is the only power line running up to this corner up to Botswana, and that's why we're seeing this power line here. But yeah, basically the only one supplying power in this corner of the country, basically, coming through. But yeah, this is pretty much the only spot you're going to see a power line on Tswalu as you drive through. But coming back to our question about giraffe and elephants and so on, it's basically what it is. You'll have the giraffes actually feeding up to a good midday, rest for about an hour or so, and then start feeding again, even well into nighttime, but sleeping much less actually than what elephants do. But elephants do a huge chunk of the day. We're gonna send you back over to Djuma.
Well, Kalamba's tracks took us on a wild goose chase, and in fact they ended up all the way in the north near Longpo. But I did see, oh, there it is, a red-billed hornbill jumping about. This Cumbritum, having a bit of morning fun. Everyone needs some morning fun. Looking for insects, other invertebrates that can get its beak on. Well, we are now going to finally depart from quarantine, since our tracks have been leading us on that goose chase. We also saw 2 hyenas, and we might follow them down to the den and see what happens. Anyway, while we do that, we'll send you over to Steve.
Well, good luck, Trish. I hope you managed to catch up with the Djuma clan. We have got a wonderful South African band in frame right now called Zebra and Giraffe. They're one of the wonderful acoustic rock bands, or should I say more rock bands, found in South Africa. I'm only joking. It's no rock band, everybody, but there is a rock band in South Africa called Zebra and Giraffe. The giraffe decided to join the zebras out here on the open plains, although keeping a little bit to the sort of edge where the trees are growing. And you see the size difference now between zebras and giraffe, much, much different. And as we have discussed many times in the past, these animals like to hang out with each other. Those zebras even going, oh, hang on, we'll go a little bit closer to that fellow because he can see much further than we can. And the benefits are mutual. When you've got a very tall friend watching out, you've got more time to put your head down and have a meal. A couple boys zebra, we've caught up again with our little bachelor herd. They're being very quiet this morning. There's been no chasing and running around and biting. We're hoping that might happen. Well, Mandy, of course, the zebras, they do hurt each other, I've no doubt. It's just the same as humans, you know. Human boys playing, there's always one that's a little bit more boisterous than the other. And, I mean, that dominance is quite important, you know. There's always going to be lots of play, and always in play. How many times in play are there tears? Quite often. Excuse me. So they're not aiming to physically hurt each other, but every now and again it can happen. They do kick each other sometimes, they do bite each other. But when these boys are playing, it's more boisterous than anything else. Excuse me, my frog is back. It is more boisterous than anything else. And they're gearing themselves up for life as an adult male, whereby things are much more serious. And so in any play fight, it leads to more serious sort of encounters, and it is possible as these boys get a little bit bigger, a little bit older, that they become a little bit more physical as well. But wild animals, Mandy, are very, very tough. If you've ever played with just a horse, you realize how much stronger a horse is than we are. Now, even the smaller antelope, impala and deka, you try and catch one of those things. I'm not encouraging you to go out and catch them, but they are very, very strong when their life is on the line, and they basically are able to fight with each other first of all and try and avoid predation through backlashing, through kicking, through using their horns if they have. It doesn't always work, but in the throes of being attacked, these animals throw their full weight and power at the predator, and it's why we often talk about predators being quite unsuccessful there. Those two boys on the left are going to start their little antics. Why we talk often about predators' success being quite low. It's not just the fact that the predator missed. Often is the case the animal was able to kick the predator off or be so physical. Let's move up, maybe we'll get them a little bit better. Kick them off, throw them off, whatever it might be. And that can hurt. That can hurt a lot. You ask anyone who's done game capture, and they get beaten and bruised by the animals. And these zebra boys, although not fully grown, have got teeth, have got hooves, and have got a very powerful body designed for pushing each other around. It's tactics. If you've ever had dogs playing, and you see how dogs push each other with their shoulders to dominate, zebras have got a similar sort of behavior like that with the shoulder and the neck, pushing each other around, and biting at the ankles to mess with the balance. Very nice martial arts technique. Go for the legs, go for the haunches. Now zebra stallions have got canines. So in that area of a horse's mouth that most people are probably familiar with, where the bit gets put, male horses, male equids, have got a tooth there, which is a canine, and it's how you can identify a male zebra skull versus a female. And horses that are obviously ridden with bits in their mouth have had to have that, male horses have had to have that tooth removed. And zebra stallions have got that tooth, and not only their front incisors are very, very sharp, well, very, very good at nipping, but that canine is also quite dangerous. And this is just boisterous behavior right now. It can get much more physical. And of course, sometimes when ego steps in, they will hurt each other. As they start coming of age, they're getting to full weight, and when they start getting that sort of testosterone development, when they're probably going to leave off and go on to a solitary life before finding their mares, their fillies, they probably start getting a little bit more physical and probably losing your friend bonds because you just became a little bit too much of a of an aggressive dude. Carrie, you want to know if they lie down? Well, we actually, when we came out this morning, there were 3 or 4 zebra sort of lying down, which I've not often seen. Zebra tucked up with their legs tucked up. They weren't lying flat on the ground. They were sitting almost in the rumination position, with the legs tucked up. There were 3 or 4 of them, and I can't say I've seen that very often in my life. You often will find zebra calves, or should I say foals, lying down flat next to the mum. Every now and again you might find 2 zebras, one lying down and the other one standing. They love to roll around on the ground. They love to roll on their back. But for the most part, you find zebras on their feet. But maybe in the depths of the night, they do all lie down. As we came out this morning, how many, Jan? 3 or 4? It was, eh?
About 3, yeah.
You can see the one on the right is slightly bigger. So it's sparring, everybody. There's nothing physical here. When they get really physical, they make noises. It gets very aggressive. So wonderful to be able to witness this sort of behavior. Your turn to chase. There we go, he's had enough. You see that, the kicking. They can be quite accurate with those hooves. And did you hear that squealing sound I'm making there? I wonder if that came through. It all sort of starts with the behavior of the ears and the head. You can start seeing that they're starting to show some form of aggression towards each other. Obviously, it's play right now, but if you've ever spent time with horses, you'll know that their ears are very, very important in communication. Body language, the way the head is held. There we go, he's going to pick another partner now and suss each other up. Nope, back to the same fellow. Now that kick is designed in fighting against zebras and also at kicking a lion in the face when it comes to try and jump on it. And should they make a few vocalizations, the little whining that we heard just now is quite common in these boys playing and fighting with each other. And then the loud, I still can't get it. We asked this question a few mornings ago and I still can't get that. I can't do it very well. The loud alarm call, and they also do these loud snorts, a couple different snorts. One of sort of a contentment snort, the other one of if they've seen a predator, so it's an alarm call sort of snort. But they're quite vocal. And now they've decided enough horsing around, they're going to have some food. Do you see where the name comes from, everybody? Horsing around. I didn't make it up, I promise. Just thought I'd throw it in there on this early Sunday morning. I keep trying to do the zebra whistle and it keeps sounding like a guinea fowl alarm call, so I don't know what's happened in my shelves of sounds in the head. It seems to just have been overwhelmed by the guinea fowl contact call. So bachelor herds are very important in that regard. You won't find zebras solitary unless it's a bull, or a bull, what do you call them? A stallion, like one of these who's come of age and is going to go find females. They'll always be in herds, bachelor herds, or one lone stallion on his mission for his first mate. And then he arrives at a group where there's a male with a whole lot of fillies, and one of them is his daughter, and he would like to obviously pass her on to a worthy gentleman, but he's not just going to let her go, as many of you fathers out there with your daughters can probably attest to. You don't just let your daughter go off with the first fellow that comes along. You check him out, you size him up, you ascertain whether he can fight and whether he can do all of the necessary things to provide for his daughter, and then after that eventually he will allow her to be sort of courted.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
What are you looking at, man? That's its gangster face. It has the manners of a common variety vagabond. Look at it, chewing with its mouth open like that.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website, but once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed. Hello, Mama. Just checking us out, everybody. There's no aggression here. Very relaxed. A herd of elephants moving around your car like that is truly, truly magical.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Africa is very special, and when you come down here, even when you're watching through our camera, the landscapes change from desert to bushveld to up in the Masai Mara where there's grassland. That means that the biodiversity changes as we move along Africa. And what I love most about connecting with you guys is the fact that I get to share these wonderful experiences with thousands of people.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Welcome back to and Beyond Phinda, where we've come up to a beautiful raised area here in the western parts of Phinda, just to see if we can scan these grasslands for those buffalo, rhino, or any signs of cheetah. But we've come across this beautiful big herd of wildebeest and zebras, and they all seem to be very happy now that the sun is slowly starting to come out and they're starting to feed for the day. You can see there's also a couple of younger wildebeests. There's one or two young zebras around. And the young zebras and wildebeests are often quite playful in the morning here. We did see that there was one young zebra that was suckling from its mother a little bit earlier, and it actually had quite a wound on the back left-hand side of its rump. And what I was looking at is could potentially maybe even be from a predator such as a cheetah. I mean, you can imagine cheetahs out in these open grasslands where we are now. It's a beautiful area for them. I mean, they can use that speed to hunt, and a young zebra is quite a good opportunity for a meal for them. But I mean, with mom being right by that youngster's side, you never know, that mom might have chased the cheetahs off, and she escaped with only a little wound on the back. But I'm sure that little wound will heal. And it's just amazing to see all these animals coming together. I'm sure that the grass is very nutritious in this area. And often you do find a lot of zebras and wildebeests all together like this in big numbers. It's mostly for the safety in numbers, but also you often find them together because the zebras, they often feed right on the tops of the grasses. So we call that the inflorescence. So you often get zebras moving through first, and then after that you'll see the wildebeest. They often come through, and they feed right on the bottom of the grasses, often even pulling out the roots from the grass. So that's why you do often see them all together like this. That wildebeest just chased the zebra off. But there's also a lot of youngsters around, a lot of wildebeest youngsters, and it's quite amazing to see how they've already changed their color. I don't know if everybody's seen a young wildebeest before. They're very, very light in color, similar to the yellow grasses when it's winter time. And that's just so that they blend in very, very well with the grasses. Excuse me. And so, I mean, often if there is a predator around, those younger wildebeests, they'll often just lie down in the grass so that that predator can't see them. Because you can imagine a cheetah, it's a very good opportunity if they see lots of young wildebeests around. But if they don't see the young ones and they see the adults, it might not be a good opportunity for them to hunt. But I mean, it's crazy how in probably just under 2 months or so, those wildebeests have changed color quite drastically. They often start to change color around 8 to 12 weeks or so. So I mean, I can't see any of the youngsters now, but earlier I saw that their horns are already starting to grow. They're probably 3 or 4 inches already. So I mean, they grow at a very, very quick rate. Even their bodies. I mean, we've been talking about how much rain we've had here on Punda, and with that brings great nutritious grass and water. And so I mean, all these animals are very, very healthy at the moment. If we look at some of the zebras, if you look at their manes, often the mane is quite a good indication of how healthy that zebra is. If you see their mane is very, very straight up, all in line, that's an indication of a very healthy zebra. But as soon as you see that mane starting to almost fall apart, like divide into 2 and fall over, that's often when there could be a problem, or that zebra might be a little bit ill. Maybe if there's not enough nutrition around or not enough grass or something like that, that might be something. But how cute is that little zebra? You can see it's still quite fluffy. Right in the back you can see that there's a lot of fluff on it. Even the face is quite black in color. I think as that zebra does get a little bit older, those stripes will start to stretch a little bit and become that beautiful, almost diamond shape on the face. But it almost seemed like that zebra was basically following its mom. Jerome, zebras and wildebeests, they don't see in color. I mean, I've never asked a zebra or wildebeest personally if they see in color, but from what I've heard and what I've read, the wildebeest and zebra, they'll see in black and white. They might be able to make out like some darker colors, some lighter colors, but no, for the most part, they don't see in color. And I think also, like for a predator such as like a lion, you can imagine if they don't see in color, how well these zebras, even the wildebeests, they almost look like they do have stripes with their hair going somewhere, some different directions. They almost look like they've got stripes. And I mean, they blend in very, very well into the bush. I know when you do look at them, they almost look like they stand out like a sore thumb. But to predators, if they do stand still, they often do blend in very well into the natural environment around them. You can see some of the wildebeests slowly starting to almost feed towards us. It's amazing, I can actually hear them picking the grass all around us. You can see all their tails also flicking. There's a lot of flies around at this time of year. So you can imagine that big fluffy tail just swishing all those flies away that might potentially try and lay their eggs onto these animals around us. But it's a beautiful scene here. We've got the Lobombo mountain range in the distance. We've got some zebras, wildebeests around us. And that sun just poking through the clouds. And I think when it does start to get a little bit hotter here on Ambient Punda, maybe some of these animals might start to move towards water. There is quite a lot of water around this area where we are. So I think from here we might start to head towards water, go have a look around there and see. And we've had no luck so far with the cheetah, but you never know. Cheetah, they can be moving around. They might be on top of termite mounds at the moment, just trying to get out of the moisture of the grass. I mean, it is very, very wet. I actually got out of the vehicle a couple of minutes ago just because the road looked quite wet ahead of us, and my feet are soaking wet, even up to my legs, very, very wet. So I can imagine the cats, lions and cheetah in this area, most likely lying on top of termite mounds trying to get out of that moisture, or even maybe walking in the road. I know if I was a cat, I wouldn't be walking through this grass, but I think for these zebras and wildebeests in front of us, they don't mind because they're getting so many nutrients and so much moisture from this grass around us. I can see there's a couple of swallows that are flying around these zebras. I think they're picking up maybe all those little insects that these zebras and wildebeests might be disturbing as they move through the grass. And you often get other birds like fork-tailed drongos. They'll often spend time around animals such as wildebeest, zebra, but even the bigger animals like buffalo, rhino, elephants. You can imagine as they move through the grass, all those insects get disturbed, and it's a great opportunity for them to hunt. I've even seen the likes of European rollers, a beautiful roller, beautiful a beautiful turquoise color. They often also will follow these animals around, and especially buffalo. And I did say we were coming into this area to look for buffalo, and with buffalo dropping their dung, there's often a lot of dung beetles that will be around buffalo herds, and those European rollers often will eat the dung beetles. So it's a good opportunity when there's a herd of buffalo around. You can imagine how much dung is going to be around, so therefore a lot of dung beetles, and those European rollers will be those dung beetles will be in great danger with the European rollers around. But I think from here we're going to probably continue, see if we can find anything else. We're going to send you over to Steve and see what he's got for you.
Indeed, after the rains, the insects have bloomed once again. Last night on our way back, the insects into the lights were flying right into our faces. I think it's going to be another bloom, another insect accumulation. But right now our zebras are feeding while our giraffe bull is getting serviced by some oxpeckers and then giving his undercarriage a little scratch. He's found a perfect little bush. Poor little apple leaf. Ticks are a reality out here, everybody. I mean, you don't have fingernails to scratch. You will use whatever means necessary. About the power lines there. So our giraffe moved up the hill slightly and the zebras followed, because they've learned this association. Oh, that was an interesting noise. Of course, Bronwyn, lion prides, some of them are specialists at hunting giraffe. But we were talking before about how the zebra has that very powerful backward kick for kicking a lion or whoever in the head. Giraffe have got an even more powerful kick. Giraffes can get up to 1,400 kilograms, 1,500 kilograms, size 20 shoe. They've got this very powerful backward kick. That would decapitate a lion essentially, and they've got also these really, really powerful downward sort of kung fu chops that they can do. They just elevate off on their back legs slightly and they just slam their front feet down on the ground, and if that hits a lion, it's over. It's over if it hits a lion. So a big giraffe, this is a decent sized male here. He generally not under too much threat. You need a decent sized pride of lions with a male to have the necessary weight to pull the giraffe down. They've first got to get past those legs, and then they've still got to bring the animal down. Once a giraffe is on the floor, though, it's much easier to deal with. It's not able to kick, and its weight makes it very difficult for it to get up. So what many lions will try and do is chase giraffe in the hope that they trip. But often a giraffe will just stand there and look at them, and then the lions have to circle and try and get around. But bearing in mind the giraffe's got the weapons of kicking backwards and forwards, and they can turn quite quickly. So no individual lion really wants to take the risk. But they will circle and move forward and move forward and move forward. But it does happen. I have seen a few giraffe hunts in the past, and it can be really something to behold. But generally, in this situation, lions would prefer to go for something a little bit easier. Giraffe is definitely not the easiest of prey animals to subdue. But it is one of the reasons why lion prides are in lion prides for the sizable buffalo and the sizable giraffe. We talk regularly about the sort of prey-predator sort of war or battle that's raged. As the herbivore animal gets stronger or bigger, so the predator has gotten stronger, bigger, or more stealthy. But it was sort of not an advantage for lions to get any bigger. They believed the saber-toothed tiger was an enormous beast, but the size and power of that animal made hunting difficult and made even eating difficult with their enormous teeth. So there's a certain size that becomes unsort of manageable from a predator point of view, and so that's why tigers and lions are pretty similar in size. Tigers are a bit bigger because they're individual, and lions get to a very large size, but then that is it. Any bigger than that, it just starts becoming unsustainable. Imagine lions the size of rhinos running around. The amount of meat they'd need to consume would be incredible. This giraffe is going, what did you say? Lions? So that's one of the unique sort of attributes of lions, in fact, is that they're banded together. Solitary cats, all of them for the most part, one day decided, hang on, it'll be better if we hang together today and, let's maybe go catch some food on our own. But that solitary nature stands out so strongly when you see them eating, because they are so aggressive with each other. They're so violent with each other. That's what's kept cats' evolution moving forward, is that competitive nature that they have. And so lions, even at the sight of a kill, even with their cubs, even with their loved ones, they are aggressive to the max. And then how they overcome that afterwards is by allo grooming and lots of apologies and licks and cuddles. So sorry, I didn't mean to be so aggressive over dinner. I was just hungry, I had the bloodlust. My blood was up. So in saying that as well, this giraffe has been feeding on the sort of periphery of this open clearing and has now come into the open to feed, not to feed, but to ruminate. And so that's where their benefit lies, is their huge neck, very good eyesight. It's very difficult for lions to sneak up on giraffe, and that's why they will avoid dense vegetated areas. They will go in them and feed, and then move out into these open areas to ruminate. Mike, do they come into camp? I haven't seen a giraffe come into camp, but we are right next to a watering hole, and I've no doubt that there have been a giraffe drinking there at some point. Definitely elephants come down all the time, are swimming in the dam all the time there, but I haven't yet seen a giraffe come too close. Johan, you haven't seen one yet, have you? No, I haven't been around long enough, to be honest. These animals have coexisted for a very long time. Very long time. Hence why you saw the giraffe walk through that group of zebra there, and the zebra didn't actually even move. They just thought, this fellow is not trying to kill us. He won't hurt us. But if I tried to go near that giraffe, it would either run away or it would kick me. Because humans have, of course, in the generations gone by, hunted giraffe, as have lions. But no zebra's ever gone and nipped at the heels of a giraffe, and no giraffe's ever gone and deliberately stood on or kicked a zebra. So they've learned that they coexist very well together. And the epitome of the African game drive safari, giraffe and zebra. Next to the big five, these are the two animals that most people come to Africa to see. If you've ever sat at Oliver Tambo, Johannesburg International Airport, and seen how many tourists there used to be, buying wooden giraffe statues. Many, many, many. He's got some chewing gum there, everybody. Now, if you just go back slightly, Johan will have a look at his neck. Just watch, right there. Watch the throat, everybody. As soon as the jaw stops moving, watch the front of the throat all the way down to the bottom. Are you ready for it? Busy masticating, chopping up the vegetation, covering it in saliva. Here we go. Watch the throat. Oopsie. He just vomited in his mouth. Now that is rumination, everybody. These animals, not the zebras of course, but the giraffe, and kudu and the buffalo and impala, can go through bouts of feeding whereby they can fill their bellies with leaves, and they barely chew them. You get all of these leaves sitting on top of the sort of stomach juices in the first chamber stomach. And then you can go out into an area like this where you feel safe, where you feel like you are not going to get eaten by something, and you chew it. And as that stuff gets chewed, when he swallows that little ball, the particle size is quite small, so it actually filters to the bottom of that stomach. But then there's still all of that other leaf material sort of sitting on top. And somehow, through probably muscular contraction or muscular work, they're able to sort of push that ball from their stomach up into their mouth, and then they just start chewing again. Once again, it's done it. So they'll do that process regularly throughout the day. And the purpose of it, of course, is to chop up the plant material to the finest possible degree for bacteria and microbial breakdown in the gut. The finer you chop something, the more surface area there is for breaking down. For example, if you took a coffee bean and you put straight coffee beans into your coffee pot, or you put ground coffee into your coffee pot, which one do you think is going to exude more of the lovely coffee flavor? Of course, the ground coffee, because there's far more surface area for the water to work at. It's the same for microorganisms. They break it down, and the more area they have to sort of feed on, the more breakdown there is. The more breakdown there is, the more nutrients are absorbed, and the more benefit to the vegetation, from the vegetation the ruminant gets. In saying that, ruminants do very well in wet conditions when the vegetation's of good quality, but when the vegetation gets quite dry and quite sort of nutrient poor, they don't do as well, because they're rechewing quite low quality vegetation. And that's why we saw buffalo in Djuma a few years ago doing so badly in the drought, whereas the zebra and rhinos did well because they get bulk. The rhino and zebra, an elephant, and bulk. Fermentation takes place. There's none of that rechewing Goes through the gut in half the time it does for what a zebra would feed on versus a giraffe. The gut retention time is halved, so it means you can get twice as much food in, which means you can get twice as much nutrients out of a low quality diet. Hope that's all making sense. We might move on from our little family of animals here and see what else we can find. You never know what happens in the mornings out on safari.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday the 28th of February. Wild Earth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Oh, my dear, I do find you most attractive when you're covered in bird lice. Oh, Charles, I love it when you peck at my head and clean the bird lice off me. Let me say hello to Barry here. Hello, Barry. I'm just going to examine you for some bird lice. Charles, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. Oh, all right. I shall look for bird lice myself then.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at and beyond Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through and beyond Ngala on Wild Earth. Send me live questions through the Wild Earth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene, rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
What makes and beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve so special is our massive array of habitats. And with that comes, of course, a beautiful diversity of landscapes, but also an incredible biodiversity in terms of plants, bird life and animal life, as well as, of course, our conservation success stories with cheetah, with rhinos, now with pangolins too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
We've just arrived here at the Hyena Den, hoping that there would be some action, but nothing so far. Nothing. So you know what that means? It means that we've got to move off. But at least this is a nice opportunity to actually admire their den, because it is a really, really pretty one. So let's just turn it around. All the different horns that all the cubs have been playing with are scattered about. There's an impala horn, there's a wildebeest horn, and this is going to be a tight squeeze out. Yep, I'm going to have to recalculate that one. In fact, I might just go around this way. This is the way we normally come through. Yep. Oh, good. There we go. But most of the action has been concentrated on that side of the den of late. So, though we normally park on this side, now we have that nice, whoops. Davy, you still on? Yep. That's some of the best parts of this job, whether you can throw your cam up off or not. I found some interesting looking eggs on the ground. Sure they are eggs. Let's just have a quick look. Are you eggs? Oh no, tiny little mushrooms. You know, I love the tiny little mushrooms. Very sweet. I'm sure you can see them on the ground. They look like little eggs though. Or maybe you can, oh, just, there we go. Very cute. At this stage I wouldn't be able to tell what they are, but they're definitely not earth stars or puffballs, which is what I expected so close to the ground. But because they're really young mushrooms, they're difficult to tell because they haven't actually exploded upward just yet, so they can reveal their gills. They're still shrouded in their universal veil. What a sentence. So now we're going to keep on moving. Unfortunately, no evidence of any cats, but that's okay. That gives us the opportunity to focus on other smaller things. But I'm really, really missing elephants. And I would love to find some. Not much evidence of them either. But we get mornings like this. And like I said, a good opportunity to focus on the smaller things or look for the smaller things. Jerome, you would like to know if hyenas ever cause problems in camp. Jerome. 100%. All the time, whenever they can. Running away with porcelain plates in their mouths. Breaking them. Jumping onto the sink and then dropping whatever's on the sink and then being very scared at the sound once they've dropped something. One's ended up in my room before. It sounded strange, but one has ended up in my room before. Swazi. Once I dropped a little bit of Coke while I was coming down to my room, and Swazi promptly came along and licked it all up. But they do cause, it's that kind of trouble, you know, they're just playful and mischievous, and they're a little bit naughty. But nothing serious. They don't break fences or anything like that. That type of thing is left to the elephants. Oh, wonderful paradise white. I just flew up in front of us. Anyway, we're going to go look for stuff, and we're going to send you over to Steve, who's already found something.
Thanks, Trish. Well, we've caught up with our pair of jackal. They were calling before, and they keep looking back in the direction behind us. They're running away now. I don't know if their calling was purely here we go. Okay, so what happens with jackal territory is one will urinate, the other one will urinate right on top of it. It's a dual sort of male-female territorial demarcation. Just turn the car slightly. Keep it there. Now keep looking back up this way, so maybe they're interacting with another pair of jackal. I've never known, and the impalas aren't bothered at all. Maybe they're interacting with another pair of jackal, or maybe they saw something that we don't know. Maybe there was a leopard. I've never known a jackal to make that loud shouting call for a predator. Wonderful to see. We see them almost every day on this plain, but often not able to get them. They run away. You see the size difference of them and the impala. They're a very, very small little dog, but very adaptable and very adept to living out in this environment. Very, very adaptable. They'll even feed on grass as a means of survival. Birds, eggs. I've even seen one once kill a wildebeest. Very, very what's the word? Opportunistic. Fortunately, they've just gone a little bit far now. So monogamous pair, all mate for life, pair of jackal. Charles, well, in these areas we get the side-striped and the black-backed jackal. I haven't seen a side-striped here. We get them in Djuma very regularly. Black-backed jackals all over South Africa. And then there's a Cape fox. I can't think of another jackal that occurs in South Africa. Obviously the bat-eared fox and the Cape fox. But then through Africa there's a number of other different species, quite a number, but they all seem to sort of overlap or define their habitat by sort of, or their territories by habitat or their distribution. And so as you go further north, things change and so do the species. In Djuma, I've seen both side-striped and black-backed, and I'm interested to know why they both occur there. Salati, both of them occurred there. The track is almost identical. You'd have to be the most expert of trackers to know the difference between the two. I don't think there is a difference. But as you go further north, they change. But I'm only aware of the two jackal species in South Africa. If I have forgotten one, please, everybody, do inform me. Okay, well, we're going to move on. We did promise to go and find some animals, and we did. We found a nice jackal pair and a little herd of impala. It's a very productive area, this impala plains. As we head on over towards Leopard's Dam area, we'll send you back over to Tswalu Kalahari.
Welcome back, everyone, and we have just come across a very interesting incident that just happened here. We have come across a female cheetah that is taken down. If you look at the foreground or the front ground of the screen, you'll see there is like an object lying down there, and that's a steenbok that was taken down by a cheetah female that has moved through this area. And as we traveled a bit further south, coming through this area, it looks like she's one of the wilder cheetahs on the reserve, and she's just moved off. So we have been sitting here for the last half an hour trying to figure out and see if she's going to come back. We've given a good distance on this sighting, as in just out of a respective point of view, trying to just see if she's not coming back. But yeah, after this we're going to most probably keep on going, because we don't want to really sit here if she's not going to keep on coming back or whatever, if we can put it that way. So you'll see this steenbok. I don't know if you'll be able to see the belly on the sighting because it is quite a bit of a distance, but yeah, you can see the grasses are blowing over that section that I want to talk about there. But yeah, it looks like she's just taken this animal down before we arrived in this area, and she just started opening up the belly there, and then she moved off. She didn't really run off, but she's just moved to a spot and just behind a bush. So I think we will be shortly moving off, because we were kind of hoping that she was going to come out of the bush, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So yeah, we're going to keep on going and see what else we can find. We're going to send you in the meanwhile back over to Pinda.
Welcome back to Pinda, everybody. We abandoned our cheetah search. There was no signs of those cheetahs in the area where they were last. And we've moved a little bit away, and we've seen if we can come find any rhinos or buffalo. But we found this female giraffe, and she's got a tiny, tiny, tiny baby giraffe with her. The baby is almost the size of the grass. I don't know if you can see there. It's tiny. It's probably the smallest giraffe that I've ever seen. So it's a very, very cute little giraffe. And it's quite inquisitive. Any noise that it hears, it will turn its head, look around. And I mean, Mum, she's on a little bit of a ridge line. She's scanning around, looking for any potential threats around. You can see there the youngster moves, following Mum. And that Mum wants to make sure that there's nothing around, because you can imagine she's also quite vulnerable around here with the likes of lions and things that might be somewhere around. But I mean, that giraffe, I would say, is probably maybe not even a month old, maybe somewhere around a month. I saw the ossicones, they're almost like just quite small. There's a lot of fluff on them. But it looks like that youngster is walking, not wobbly or anything like that. And often female giraffes, they'll move away from the herd. I mean, giraffes, their social structure, they don't actually have a social structure. They often go from herd to herd, moving around, sometimes by themselves. But often giraffes, they'll leave the herd to give birth. And then after that, they'll look and see if they can find another herd that they can go to. But I mean, it's here on Phinda, it's actually getting quite hot at the moment. You can see I've still got my jacket on for now, but I think it is time that we probably take the jacket off. And hopefully now with the hot summer's day that we're hopefully going to have, maybe some of the bigger animals like rhinos and buffaloes will most likely go and find water, maybe a mud wallow, see if they can cool themselves off. Because it's crazy how hot it got just all of a sudden. The clouds have almost moved off a little bit, and that sun is baking down here in Phinda. So from here, we're going to most likely just continue and see what else we can find. And hopefully we'll be able to find some of those bigger animals like rhinos and buffalo.
Hi, I'm Sue. I'm from South Africa and I'm the incredibly lucky winner of the Tswalu competition. Tswalu has so much to offer, but we're really looking forward to the game viewing options, as going out with a personal guide who has so much knowledge will just be exceptional. Motsi Lodge looks absolutely amazing and we're so looking forward to spending time there. It really is out of this world. I only registered as an explorer towards the end of January, so when the email arrived stating that I was the winner, it took me totally by surprise. I'd just like to thank Wild Earth and Tswalu for this most incredible prize. It really is a dream come true.
Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
We stopped as the dusk was settling and there was a zebra mare underneath the bush. She was lying down. We didn't really know what was happening, and then we saw it.
Everybody, there's a zebra giving birth there. There's a zebra giving birth. This is a zebra giving birth. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, you clever mare. Well done. It's born, everyone. It's born and it's alive and it looks fine.
This was, of course, an unusual sighting. Normally, herbivores like impala and wildebeest and zebra will give birth during the middle of the day. This is when their predators like lions and hyenas are fast asleep. But as this little foal took its first steps, the dying embers of the day had just gone over the western horizon, and it was just the time that the hyenas and lions were starting to get active and go out foraging. This is why we didn't light up the sighting, of course. It may have compromised the zebra's eyes and at the same time attracted those hyenas and lions to the activity.
Hi, my name is Tristan Dix and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for Wild Earth. We love connecting you to the African bush and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on Wild Earth.
When we can't find a leopard, we usually find dwarf mongoose. And yet again, we're successful today in finding some, and they're doing exactly what we expect at this time of the morning, and that is to be on the eastern side of a termite mound and trying to get some sun. Perhaps unsuccessfully this morning because there's not much sun at all, but that side of the termite mound will be much warmer than the western side. And that's what they'll do first thing in the morning. Try and sun themselves, build up some heat to allow them to go out and forage for the day. This is a nice big termite mound that they occupied last night. Like I said to you before, they have small territories and they use different termite mounds within them and different tunnel systems to move around and spend their night in separate places. So they're not always in one place at the same time or every time. And that'll actually assist them in making sure that it doesn't smell of mongoose, because the smell of a mongoose might attract predators. Not that there are very many of them for dwarf mongoose, but aerial predators are probably the biggest problem for them. And where they spend the night doesn't matter when it comes to aerial predators. But that's why they have some really good relationships with other creatures around, like drongos and hornbills. More so hornbills. Drongos can be tricky, not always very trustworthy. Sometimes they can alarm and not actually see anything. But when they alarm, the mongoose will drop whatever they've caught and then rush to a spot of safety. And then the drongo or the mongoose take a rush to a spot of safety, and then the drongo swoops in and gets whatever it is that the mongoose have been busy foraging, spending all their time foraging, just to lose it to a drongo that's untrustworthy. But small carnivores can also take them. And if their area that they spend the night if they constantly spend it in the same areas, there's lots of scat and things like that, it ends up being an attraction for small carnivores because they can smell and sniff them out. Larger snakes are also a problem for them, but smaller snakes they're able to take themselves. But even so, dwarf mongoose might come across a black mamba, and it could go either way. I think they're probably the most fierce and mighty small creature that we get out here. They remind me of a very miniature honey badger in their attitude and their fierceness and their ferociousness. They can go and take anything that they like. Like I said, even a mamba, if they come across it, they could have a fair fight. But it could go either way. Look at how tall that termite mound is. It's about 2 meters high, maybe even a little bit more. Definitely much, much taller than me, maybe double my height. Very cute. Well, let's send you over to Steve in Pridelands. I heard he had a wonderful jackal sighting earlier.
They are very cute mongooses until they get into your kitchen. I can't say I've ever had mongooses in my kitchen, let alone elephants. What was that joke when I was growing up? How do you know an elephant's been in your fridge? There's footprints in the butter. I always thought that was quite a cute little joke, eh? Johan, have you heard that one before? So we have an elephant, it's just across the road in front of us, just slowly feeding towards the drainage. We've just put a few little covers on because there's a little bit of rain falling, but nothing too major at the moment. We're just preparing ourselves. Wonderful big elephant bull. He's not a fully mature bull. We had another wonderful sighting with Tswalu yesterday. Unfortunately, we found ourselves in a low signal area, but he walked right past the car. Very special. He was on a mission. He's been following the same female for a few days, and I'm almost certain that he's probably done the deed there and he's on his way to find another. And he's been in Mast for 2 months now, Tswalu. 2 months. The big bulls can maintain Mast for up to 3 months, in which period they will mate with as many females as possible. Let's try and... oh no, he's coming into the open there. Cover enormous amounts of ground. I've been really enjoying the very relaxed nature. Of him and all the elephants in general. I haven't yet met Susan, and if I have, she hasn't behaved in any interesting way. I've heard she's quite a character. And just like that, my elephant bull is back into the thickets now. You can just see his bum. Now this is the road we just happened upon at Lioness yesterday morning. I still haven't received any feedback from anyone I've sent pictures to, or any of you viewers at home, whether that was in fact Lagatha, because I wouldn't know. So let me know if you know if that was Lagatha yesterday or not. We can only continue on. I think it's time we go and find a nice spot, have a cup of coffee. Okay, well, we go find ourselves a coffee spot. We send you back over to Trish, who's on a bumble of her own.
We have done a little bit of a loop, and we went to the south when we started off, and now we're turning around and heading back to the north. This is a road that I found Shidulu on a few times. Oh, squirrel. Let's see if he'll jump up somewhere. So yes, hoping that we'll find Shidulu on this road again. But now we wait for our squirrel. Will you emerge? I think that's a no.
I'm stopping for coffee.
That was not me. I'm not stopping for coffee. Oh. We'll have to find another squirrel. I would love to see, thinking about smaller things now, I'd love to see a golden orb-web spider, or a garden orb-web spider. That would be a nice find. I've seen the web of a golden orb, but I haven't seen one of the spiders yet this stint. The web I saw was between the horns of a buffalo. And you can clearly identify it because it's got this golden sheen as a result of certain proteins in the makeup of the silk. The reason for that is most likely, many of the things we don't know the absolute reason for, but is very likely because hyena tracks here. Very likely because it, well, the reason is very likely, there we go, for the web to be more visible. So if the sun is shining on it, an animal can see it very clearly. And that's important because it takes a lot of time and effort to build one of those webs. and the spider doesn't want a big herbivore to come through and break its web, because it can't consume the web either, because it'll be stuck on the horns of the buffalo, like the one we saw. So it's a way to increase the visibility of the web. In fact, garden orb web does a similar thing. They create that stabilimentum, which the name implies it's to stabilize the web. It's a little zigzag shape down the web, but it's more likely that it creates a greater visual aspect, so that larger animals will not come crashing through, and it wastes that effort and that investment. So let's have a quick look through here and see if this is a nice bushy bit, so you can often find webs. I can smell stink bug though. And I see some good plants. Nice African wattle. Stan the Man. Hello, Stan the Man. You'd like to know what the biggest spider I've seen in Djuma is? There was a massive golden orb web on Gallagher Shortcut at one point. Probably the size of my hand with her legs. I'd say that was the largest banded golden orb web spider. Or banded-legged golden orb web spider. She was huge. Well, fine, so we've looked at an African wattle. I don't usually find spider webs in here, but there's also some nice bush willows. Like here's a red bush willow. You'll often find spiders in there, but I don't see anything too exciting just yet. So it's actually a nice area. If we do and have a look at sort of the whole thing, I wonder how many plants you're able to identify. I can tell you that I see 1, 2, 3, 4, or trees that you can identify. 5 different trees in this area. Let's start there. We've got a large fruited bush willow. Mandy, you'd like to know if there are any carnivorous plants in Djuma? No, not that I know of, and I'm actually pretty sure there aren't any carnivorous plants. Carnivorous plants are incredible. Really, really incredible. They have some mechanisms that allow them to be carnivorous, to create movement where other plants can't have any movement, or that extent of movement. And it's really, really unbelievable. Things like a Venus flytrap, they can count, which sounds strange, but they can count, because it's only after a few seconds will they actually close the trap. So some mechanism is allowing them to count. And then also how much, or the water pressure within them at certain points of the plant allow them to close and open in a rapid way. So either when they're flaccid, then they close quite quickly, because then they don't have the water pressure that keep them nice and open. And they use those types of mechanisms to move really quickly where the plants can't. Really amazing stuff. And apart from that, they obviously have digestive juices in order to digest any insect or other being that comes across them and into their traps. But no, none here on Djuma. All right, how many plants have you seen, or how many trees have you seen? I've seen 5 different trees. We said a large fruited bush willow. We saw an African wattle. We saw a red bush willow. I see a russet bush willow towards the back. And the 5th one was a silver cluster leaf. That's why I like this area on Zoe's, because there's a good amount of trees and a nice variety of trees. Oh, I even see a little, let's see, binoculars. Where are you? You put away. There's a little knobthorn amongst them too. Just in front of us, behind this little cluster leaf, behind the red bush willow, there's a spiky thing there. This is a nice space to have a look at the prominent different trees that we have here on Djuma. It's also a wonderful place to look at the view. Anyway, we'll send you over to Yuan, who's doing much the same as myself, bumbling along.
Welcome back, everyone. We have literally come across a beautiful, stunning woven nest that we have found in the dune streets here. And this is the woven nest of a southern mast weaver. And it's actually very interesting to see how they made use of the spines and the thorns of this camel thorn tree, as it is. But very cool looking at the amount that is actually on this tree. There's a huge amount of them actually out and about all over on the tree itself. Now, what's quite interesting is this southern mast weaver, being quite a colorful bird, they build the nest quite a lot actually especially from about a month ago until now, and it gets to a point that they will keep on building for the impression of trying to attract females as it is and so on. So if you look at this conditions of the nest, if Morgan just zooms in a bit there again, you'll see there's one that's a bit more lower down, Morgan. So there's one that's like a rounded shape that you can see like a hole through it as you look at it. And you'll see that was a start of one that was being built and so on. And that's basically how they built the entrance first, and then eventually they make like this tube formation down to the bottom section of the nest itself. But what happens is they will construct this nest and build quite a few ones already that is quite ready in that formation to attract females coming into the spot. And then once he's attracted a female, he takes her and says to her, come and investigate this room, come and investigate this house. Is this adequate for your living style? Do you think we're going to be living in this formation quite nicely? What do you think about the situation? Then she literally goes in, she investigates the nest, and it gets to a point where she will then either say yay or nay. When it's nay, she literally rips this thing apart and says with an attitude, do you really think I need to stay in this nest? Is that what you think about me? And the critical point about this is that if he really likes this lady, he'll continue building another nest and try again. And then he takes her by hand again and says, come on, come and have a look. Try time for the second time. And it gets to a point that she will literally, if she doesn't like it, she'll literally rip it apart again as it is. But yeah, very cool seeing how these nests are a bit differently woven together as opposed to the nest of the sociable weavers, for instance, or the rough nesting structures of the white-browed sparrow weavers. But just to give you a bit of a picture and idea to look at what this bird looks like. Jackson, you're saying you can't believe how tightly they're woven. Yeah, it's actually very nicely woven together, quite nice and smooth, those nests. But yeah, this is the one, the southern mast weaver that we're looking at here. So mast weaver having a black face, as you can see on that nest. Well, on that face over there, and the reddish eye ring that it has. But beautiful, looking at the yellow markings. This is the female that comes and rips everything apart if she doesn't like the nest being too adequate in that formation. But yeah, very cool actually seeing how they do it and actually work together in that formation. Well, specifically that one male trying to get this female out and about for his interest. It's crazy what animals and birds would do through courtship, well, through displays and building things like this, and trying to attract the females, shall I say, what men would do for their ladies in the bush. Very interesting. It's quite interesting about how tightly it's woven together, coming back to a previous comment and thinking about how they make use of the camel thorn trees mostly because of the strong branches that they have generally. This is on a bit of a thinner stem that you see there, where that nest are basically waving around in the wind as it is. But yeah, looking at the stems with the twigs and being quite strong in composition, that is how these nests will be taken to the account of these particular trees. So we're going to continue down the road a bit here, but very interesting to see these features in the Kalahari coming together. Yeah, so we're going to just continue driving a bit further south. There is a bit of a breeze this afternoon, well, this morning, and it is in a formation that there is some of the animals actually still hiding quite a bit at the moment. Just because the wind, again, coming back to what we said, well, what we spoke about yesterday morning, the wind being so strong, causing a lot of stress factors and so on. We still have quite a bit of the wind blowing from the weather factors that's happening in the northeastern part of the country at the moment. So it's actually quite chilly, as you can see. We still have our fleeces and jumpers on at the moment. And then as we're driving through here, we at the bottom of the dune streets here at the moment. So driving through this area, we could possibly see some animals, highly likely closer to the bottom ends of the dune streets as where we're driving right now, as opposed to the tops of the dunes. If you see animals scouting over the dune streets at the moment, it will be due to just quickly passing over a dune top and just looking over an area, scouting out and about, looking at given positions and points. But yeah, in an area where it's a bit more densely covered, in the bottom of the dune streets, just to hear and smell better in those conditions. So the stronger the wind actually becomes as well, you'll see that the grasses and the trees rustling as well in the wind will also create extra sounds that comes out, which also creates stress factors and so. But yeah, it's better for animals to be acting safe rather than to be sorry. We're gonna send you back over to Steve.
Good luck on your search, Joanne. We've gotten to our favorite coffee stop. It's going to be my last coffee stop with Johan this time around. He goes off tomorrow morning, but he will be joining me in Djuma in April, March. When are you there? Middle of March. So we shall be working there together. It's been an absolute privilege so far. But everybody, it is that time of morning where we have poured ourselves a cup of coffee. I hope you have done the same, or something a little bit stronger if it's that time of day for you. And we're just going to be quiet a moment, allow you to soak in the sounds of the bush. enjoy the silent meditative modes too. And we're probably going to enjoy them a while longer while we send you over to some eland over in Tswalu Kalahari.
So as we continued just a bit further down this dune street, we've come across this beautiful antelope that really truly belongs to the Kalahari as well. We've got a couple of eland bulls, young bulls, that we've come across here. And these eland, there's about a good, I'd say 10 or 12 of them in a herd here. They're quite spread out widely over this dune. It is quite a bit of a long distance view at the moment, but so beautiful seeing such gorgeous antelope. Now, over the past couple of weeks, we've been touching the subject of the different tribal families that you get in the antelope family from the Bovidae family point of view. But the tribal families, talking about which is which and where do they belong and who are they, and describing the actual bodies and lifestyles, shall I say. So the tribal family that these guys belong to is called a Tragalafini tribe, which is basically saying your spiraled horned antelope. So Tragalafini meaning exactly that. On top of that, meaning that it's a jumpy type of antelope as well. So this guy being the Tragelaphus oryx, it's the only one of the spiraled horned antelope that the horns are not making big curls. It's just rather spiraling straight upwards like an oryx's horns. And that is basically why the horns, you can see it in the sunlight even. There we go, as he's turned his head, just spiraling a bit upwards. And so, but what's very amazing about eland, guys, is the biggest story around them is looking at the Kalahari Bushmen as we backdate to the native tribes that lived in this area. So the Kalahari Bushmen thought very highly about this particular animal. And whenever they found these animals in the bush, they were either stopping, watching them, adoring them, and it's almost like a worship moment that happened in that given time. Because eland, when they're walking, and it's unfortunately a bit too far to hear what I'm about to say, but when they're walking, because it's the heaviest, biggest antelope in Africa, they would spread because they belong to an order called Artiodactyla, meaning even-cloved ungulates. The hooves will split open as they walk on a soft sand because the heavy body weight depressing down on the ground, and then when they lift up the hoof, it will click against each other. So a big herd of eland walking sounds like bushmen talking to each other. And then it comes down to that situation. Oh, there we go, the wind's spooking them off again. But yeah, then it comes down to that situation and give them point that it sounds like bushmen communicating, or their bigger ways of what they were believing in and what they thought were to be communicating with their ancestors and their ancestral beliefs and so on. But what's quite amazing about these antelope is that it is quite an iconic antelope to the green Kalahari ecosystem, because they live in these dunes. So while there's actually quite a lot of them coming up, Morgan, if we can just have a good look there again, it is quite far, but we just having them all coming up to the dune top there again, it is a far distance that we're looking at, but so gorgeous to seeing that landscape with those animals coming through it all popping up on the top there. As I was going to say, why they are doing so well in the Kalahari is literally that dewlap, that skin flap flopping around on the neck below them. And so that skin flap is like the air condition system, a radiator system. So their main veins and their arteries running from the heart straight through that skin flap will be flowing through there like an elephant's ears function. It would work where this flap would flop around in the wind, and it catches the breezes and the arteries that transports majority of the blood to the brain, being the most important organ. It will cool down the oxygenated blood all the way through to the brain, cools down the brain, and the most important organ being cooled down in that formation. It comes down to that point that they have been cooled down completely. But just so stunning, thinking about another antelope and another creature, another animal in the Kalahari that is so well designed to live in this area and formation. A lot of animals that is so well adapted to live in this ecosystem. Guys, you can see the wind is just pushing them a bit up into the dune top there again. They're most probably going to progress over the dune top. But on a long distance view, looking at that landscape, having all those antelope trotting over across the dune, that is so gorgeous. Believe it or not, with this heavy body, they could easily clear a height of about 2 meters in jumping. That is crazy to see how they can clear heights like that. But it's just because they belong to that Tragalafini tribe, being able to jump, spiraled horned jumping antelope. And they made for that formation of living as it is. So eland is quite grazing valued animals and so, but they are mixed feeders as well, so you could get them feeding on the camelthorn trees while they feed on the grasses in a given area as well. So we're going to continue further down this dune street and see what else we can see down the way. So yeah, we're not going to stick too much with the dune tops for now, because it's in a situation that, as you've seen, we literally driven in a denser section into where the bush is covering the dune street a bit more, and it's literally just an information that it's better to get to these areas at a point like now where it's the wind being so strong. But I think that was just so gorgeous to come across these animals on the foot of the dune, and then you're literally seeing them coming over the area, over the dune, passing over to the next spot. Casey, you commenting that eland is your favorite? I would say definitely yes. It's quite an impressive looking animal. And what amazes me so much about it is when you drive into the Kalahari, and especially on Tswalu even, having such vast open spaces, you drive in such long distances and you come across herds and herds and herds of antelope, and different species. You get to this point where you get to this feeling, wow, I'm in Africa. I'm driving into these long distances in Africa. And it just feels like it's non-stop, just keep on going. But to see eland in that formation in this area, so beautiful. We're gonna send you back over to Pinda.
Welcome back to Pinda, where we've driven around quite a lot around this area. There's not too much happening around, but we've come to this prominent waterhole in the western parts of the reserve where we found some hippos resting in the water. And you can see there's one on the right with his head out. There's a couple on the left of it that's just got their nostrils out of the water, just resting. And these hippos last night would have been out and about in these grasslands feeding. They often come out just after sunset to feed, and they often feed for the entire night. And then just as that sun starts to rise, or just before the sun starts to rise, they'll then come back to the water and then rest for the rest of the day in the water. I mean, it's amazing to see, because this waterhole where we are at now, if you were here 2 months ago, even a month and a half ago, there was absolutely no water whatsoever in this waterhole. So I mean, it's just crazy to see the amount of rain that we've had here on Pinda. And I know a couple of the rangers have actually seen lions on Safari Live here in this little waterhole. It's normally that black cotton soils, and I mean, you would never find a lioness now in this area, or in the dam, I should say. But it's nice to see that there is so much water around. I was just hearing, just off behind us, a beautiful bird called the Woodlands Kingfisher. Often nest around this area. There's a couple of fever trees around, also some sycamore figs. So they're often around this area. And it's just beautiful to be out and about at this time of day. Early morning. The sun is beating down on us at the moment, but it's It's a nice morning out here on Pinda. But we are going to spend just a little bit of time around this waterhole. There's not too many birds around, but you never know what does come out. It has, as I said last night, it was quite chilly, so there's not many animals that are out and about at the moment. But I think as it does start to get a little bit hotter, the animals might start to move around a little bit more. I can see the elephants that we were with a little bit earlier on, quite far off in the distance. Gerald, thanks for your question. Hippos, they don't mate for life, so they're not what we call monogamous. So monogamous is partners for life. I know we had jackals at Pridelands, but jackals are monogamous, where hippos aren't monogamous. So hippos, they are territorial, so males will have a territory. So he'll hold this territory around this water hole with particular females in it. But then often there'll be territorial fights between two different males to fight for this water as well as the females. So yeah, to answer your question, no, they don't mate for life, because often the territory can swap. The dominant male can change around quite often. If you've ever been lucky enough to see hippos fighting, it is quite incredible. I mean, when they open their mouths very, very wide and they fight one another, they can see those massive teeth of theirs and things. And it's a brutal force that comes out. Often the male will chase another male out of the water, chase him away, to say that this is not my territory. But for now, I think we might just spend a little bit of time around this water hole and see what else comes down to drink.
Would you just look at that? Just as we spoke about it, driving through this dune street, so this little clearing section that we come upon here is quite covered around with dense vegetation. And so these guys are literally all just hiding in this open clearing. But look at that amount of oryx, along with ostriches, along with springbuck, along with wildebeest. Guys, this is just, I should say, the game viewing general game jackpot been hit here just now. So amazing to see all these female springbuck as well, with males in amongst them as well. And what's happening here now, especially on a windy morning like this, you'll get a lot of temporary associations happening, where it's a population of springbuck, a population of oryx, and shall I say even a population of ostrich, all coming in together, forming a temporary community coming up together for safety numbers, especially on a windy morning like this. Now, very interesting, just coming quickly to those ostriches, looking at the male on the right-hand side to the female on the left. Look how she's picking up on a plant in that spot as they are looking for ostrich herb in this area, which is the creepers and the plants that's coming through here. But the female being grey in color and the male being pitch black in color is actually very interesting, looking at them being in this area together in the open plains, which is generally where they're nesting. But ostriches are not really nesting this time of the year anymore. It comes down to the situation that they will always nest in an open area like this. They generally have their youngsters out and about now by this time. But yeah, the males being pitch black in color in this formation as they are sitting at nighttime on the nest, protecting the eggs and the youngsters, and the females being grey in color as they sit on the nest at daytime. So in that formation, it comes down to, like, you will have both parents taking part in rearing the young, incubation of eggs and all of that. So it's actually a very interesting partnership happening there. And speaking of which, looking at those oryx just teaming up together there with that whole set of swords that they're carrying on their heads. It's incredible, talking about teamwork from an ostrich incubation process point of view versus this, looking at all these horns coming out and about carried on these different antelope. It's amazing to see how those swords, as we've been talking about it also the last couple of days, are being used as a huge defense mechanism, talking about the plants and the environment and everything that's got a form of defense mechanisms just because it's such a tough environment to live in. So constantly having some form of protection in that formation, but at the same time they double teaming with other antelope, other animals that's got sharp sight and vision and senses for safety in conditions like this morning. So what I'm going to do next is I want us all just to adore this moment and just look at all this beauty in Africa, looking across this area. Jerome, you're asking if ostriches are territorial. It's actually quite interesting. They are driven for food resources and so on. You'll find that they will go from one area to another and just go through to a spot where the food are better in certain other areas. So like the areas where grass seeds and flowering plants and that sort of thing starts featuring first, with first rains coming through, you will get to that point that they will shift wherever the food is at. So they're more migratory root structures that you get on them as opposed to, shall I say, they've got more like a home range as opposed to a strong territorial system. But yeah, they've got certain nesting sites. I've seen certain ostriches going back to the same type of area to nest in the same formation. It's just because they've got a home range and they know their boundaries could shift due to food resources. If there's not much grass left in a certain area, or these ostrich herb I was talking about, they would go to another area as well. So as I've mentioned previously, I just want us to just adore this African speciality with all this mixture of animals and just listen to the wind breezing through while we're watching these animals feeding. It is just so amazing. That really brings quite a bit of a great feeling inside one's mindset, shall I say. It really is so special just watching, observing these animals feeding and standing, catching a bit of the sunlight as well at the same time now, just because it was quite cool last night in the desert as well. So as we spoke about these animals having these formations and adaptations to reflect heat, and it's always spoken about heat in the Kalahari, yet they've got black markings to attract heat in winter times as well. And just so amazing looking at these different ways of lifestyles that they go through. One is just literally gone lying down on the right hand side, just enjoying the sunlight at the moment. Look at the intense detailed markings on that bodies as well. I mean, it's just so incredible. That beautiful ostrich male has also just come out to the right again as well. If we just want to go back to that ostrich male quickly, that is very cool to see the coloration on that ostrich coming out on the right. There's actually two males and a female being grey in color. Very interesting looking at these ostriches. Nina, you're asking if predators are hunting these ostriches in the Kalahari. Nina, it's actually quite interesting. Their eyesight is very, very good. So they often see predators coming well in advance. But it gets to a point that they, well, let's say in a strong windy condition, predators that stalks up to them, they can be caught up quite easily, actually. Ostriches got a very strong defense mechanism, having that strong legs, being able to have a rather large kick. But, well, shall I say, more of a stamping motion, that they stamp forward as they move. As oryx coming in together with them as well. See, the wind coming through in gusts is literally just scared the oryx there again, and now suddenly it scared the ostriches as well. But yeah, coming back to predation on these guys, the cheetah coalitions that we have in the Kalahari becomes quite big. Like, you'll get cheetah coalitions of 4 males, 5 males, 3 males, and these coalitions of these brotherhoods often hunts on ostriches as it is. And the same goes for the lions as well, and so forth. I've never really seen the dogs hunting on ostriches before. I've seen them chasing, trying for an attempt, but it's more about fooling around or anything. But yes, ostriches do get hunted by especially cheetah coalitions and the lions in the Kalahari. Let's just look at that horse-like posture walking up that dune with that beautiful horse-like tail and just the entire body in a horse-like posture of these oryx. Horse-like tail swifting around in the wind as well. Oryx on the second to the right. But yeah, so gorgeous in this environment.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. Wild Earth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Converging game path will invariably lead you to a water source, but treat all water as suspect. One of my favorite ways of purifying water is to filter out the particulates. And by just filtering it through your sock, you can clear out most of those. You can put water into a snail shell and you can boil it over a fire or using a chemical like chlorine or colloidal silver.
I'm Nikki here at Ambion Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the Wild Earth website, head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next Wild Earth drive.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I come to you live every day here from Tswalu Kalahari in South Africa. My favorite bird has to be the social weaver. The enormous nest that they create, their survival tactics to inhabit these harsh and unforgiving environments, and as well as their complex social arrangements is truly remarkable. And the interconnectedness with the ecosystem shows us that we are too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
That is part of a lion, one of the Talamati young males. Now the whole pride is around here, so we're just seeing bits and bobs coming in. We're actually going to reverse a little bit because I think there's more of the pride coming through. We'll have a good look at this guy first. Nice young male, got a bit of a mane coming in, and we're looking at the Talamati pride. They're heading towards Galagopan. It's been a while since we could drive this area because of the rain, so the roads are not in the greatest condition, but luckily they're open now. So we'll follow them as best as we can. And they're also attempting to hunt some impala, from what I've heard. But I don't see any impala. Can you hear the monkeys? The monkeys are alarm calling. There we go, there we go. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you can see a hunt happen. Something tells me they're hungry. And they're not looking too skinny. Definitely not, but they are hungry. And when hunger strikes, doesn't matter what time of day it is, they're going to do something about it. All right, let's follow him. He's giving it a go on his own, which is really cool to see. The rest of it is the roads I told you about. Not the greatest, but we'll do our best. Could have been a water bucky morning for him. There we go. Some more. Oh, this is awesome. This is the best. The best type of lion sighting. If the lion's scattered around you, action can come from any point, at any time. Just like it did there. So when we arrived, I just saw the one, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if all of them are scattered around us, just so difficult to see in this tall grass. Which is great for them because they can sit low, crouch low, and wait while one flushes prey out. Round they go. Let's just reverse a little bit and see if there's more coming down the road. Yay, everyone's excited to see them, so am I. It's amazing how you can have a really quiet drive, and then all of a sudden you have a lion chasing a waterbuck. Okay, I don't see them, but their general direction was moving towards the pan, so I'm gonna move towards the pan. There's another vehicle who should be coming down that way, and if they see them, they'll let us know, but let's go towards the pan. So that will be most ideal. Now when they're in this mode, they're wanting to hunt, right? So they could be all over, like I've said to you before. So we're gonna get lucky, I think, sort of anywhere we go in this general vicinity. Look how bushy, so bushy. I didn't even see that waterbuck. Okay, this is going to be slightly problematic with this bushy area. Let's try and go back. There's already a vehicle there. So, let's turn around. Okay, let's turn around. Or at least try to. Okay. Well, let's just try and position ourselves correctly. Like I said, this road is a little bit dodgy. So we'll get back to chatting about the lions and questions and things like that in a moment, but I'm going to send you over to Yuan while I navigate here.
Welcome back, everyone. This is crazy how this wind suddenly picked up here. We've crossed over 2 or 3 dune streets further to the west, and suddenly we've come across all of this beautiful ostriches as well as oryx in this area. There's a couple of more eland that's come across in this dune street, but jeez, they literally seen us coming from the southern end of this dune street, and suddenly everybody's running. So yeah, is a Corey Bustard also just disappearing over the dune top there. Yeah, so the wind is really making things quite tricky in this position at the moment in this open dune streets. But yeah, I think it'll be hopefully calming down towards midday as the heat's gonna start to pick up. Yeah, we're gonna stop on the top of the dune and we'll pan over to this dune street, just showing you all these animals running. It's just, yes, I mean, it's a stressful time. It's a stressful time for them coming through, but we're going to quickly send you back over to Trish.
I'm going to start wide over.
Okay. Wow. I've come across a roadblock. A very serious roadblock right here. I was trying to navigate, I turned around, bushy, and now this. So let's just enjoy this. One just walked right by me. This is what this job is about, these experiences and sharing it with you. Incredible. He's looking at Davy now. Incredible. When you don't have... Oh, there's my cap in the shot. Sorry, guys. You know, if you don't have an impala leg to play with, you can always play with a round leaf teak stick. They're walking towards Gallagher Pan now. Ria, you say the best kind of roadblock? Absolutely. Look at this. Look at this. We just happened to be at the right time, right place at the right time. If we didn't turn around in that awkward position we were in earlier, this would have never happened. It's just one of those times again where, strangely, a decision that seems so random, so necessary because of vehicle issues or something like that, gives you the most spectacular sighting. These last few are going to go past us, and they're going to head right, they're already heading towards Galago Pan. So once they pass us, then we'll have to go the long way around, because that part we needed to see, it needed to go over, was just unpassable with the condition of the road. So we'll have to go all the way around once these few pass. I love the way they eye Darby out as they pass him. Come on, you two stragglers. You've got some leaf on your mouth. This is just beautiful to see. Just stunning. It's nice to just enjoy the moments, especially that awesome moment of them walking through. Wendy. Hi, Wendy. You look. Answer you in a moment, Wendy. Let's just listen to these sounds. Wendy, you'd like to know if they coordinate tail movements, or they use tail movements to coordinate the hunt, rather? Not really. They're communicating in non-verbal ways, and then also using their body language to communicate, but not so much their tails. Tails with cats are a great example of, or it's sort of a way that they express their excitement or mood. So it's not, they don't really coordinate their hunt that way. They may use it to signaling. They can use it for letting each other know where they are. In that sense, I guess they could coordinate themselves for a hunt by kind of saying, oh, well, I'm by this bush, and I'm by this bush, so. But it doesn't say, so somebody chase them into this bush. No, they already know where they're going to be. But it works very well for signaling. All right, now we're going to have to try and figure out how to get to where they're going and not get stuck. So I'm going to send you over to Tswalu while I do that.
So we literally just going a tiny bit further north onto this dune street, and we are about to crest a gorgeous, gorgeous dune top. But anyways, as we continued further north, we lost those animals, eventually that big herd of animals that was running. And yeah, so they continued running into a bit of a denser area, obviously where they can use those sensors again. But on the other hand, look at what's appearing in front of us. So gorgeous, seeing the green Kalahari unfolding in front of us. Stunning to see these dune tops just in different shapes, different patterns as we drive over them. So beautiful, just scouting over this area from this point of view. Morgan says he's just spotted a kudu. Would we be able to catch it a bit further? Oh, there we go. So we try to catch up on that one. Yes, that is gorgeous, that animal that we're looking at there. You will see just now as Morgan will catch him there. Yeah, that is beautiful. So as you can see, look how he's hiding in amongst those thickets. Check out those ears bent in all different directions as he's just trying to figure out, for safety purposes, if it's still safe. Is it fine? Is there anything approaching him in that formation? But just talking about kudu being in an area like this, where there's dense vegetation in some patches of the dune streets, this is actually a blackthorn clump of bushes and shrubs that's actually combined up there together where he's standing at. And just because he's a browser living in these particular spots where he could find his food, the body will be designed completely for living in an environment like this, just because of the food that he chooses to live from. So being a browser, as starting up at the horns that you can see there, beautiful curly horns. Look at that rack we're literally looking at there. Stunning to see those horns in a curly formation. As you look at the left hand side, it is looking like there's a bit of a dirt formation on there. And what happens is he makes use of those curly horns to hook the branches into the curls of the horns to reach some of the tip-toppy branches on the tops of the trees and getting to soft leaves on the top there. But then at the same time, having those big ears, he's also got to be safe in this environment. And those big ears are literally just in a formation where it's just listening out while because I mean, they've got fantastic eyesight, but even while they're having good eyesight, it's in a situation where they need to be able to listen carefully, even though they can't see for that far because of the dense vegetation, because of the food that they choose to feed on. But as you can see he's very alerted, obviously, just because it comes back to that strong windy formation. I'm even trying to duck in behind the dashboard of the vehicle here to try to cover away from the wind a bit. On the other hand, look at that strong neck muscles that he's got there. Very beautiful. Now, this time of the year, kudu don't have that strong neck muscles for most of the year. Peter, you commenting and saying those horns must be so heavy. And Peter, it's actually, yes, it is. But talking about strong neck muscle systems, we're going to just pull a tiny bit forward, see if we can get another nice visual on him there again. Or let's rather just maybe, in the quieter we are, the better actually in these conditions. The lesser sound, because obviously then there's less surprise in this formation as it is. But yeah, talking about the horns is about a good, at a kudu size like this. The horns is a good size, well, weight of about a good anything between 2 to 5 to 6 kilograms, even sometimes depending on the size and the age of the animal and so on. He's just returned back to feeding a bit on the leaves of the tree there, just moving off. But coming back to that strong neck muscles, that is exactly for those horns. Along with the body posture and everything, the strong neck muscles are designed to carry those strong horns actually to clear some of the bushes, break some of the branches on the tops. And I mean, if you have a thin neck, you won't be able to reach those branches. Interestingly enough, when the bulls are with the females, they even break some of the tip tops of soft branches for soft leaves for the females to help them out a bit for feeding purposes. And so, coming back to the neck muscles, it's literally this time of the year you get a huge chunk of testosterone buildup, and it's just because this time of the year it's the preparation for the month of May when they go into kudus form a standoff, a beauty contest standoff with all that muscular postures. It's almost like a bodybuilding contest that they're holding, if I can put it that way, and stare down situation. And then it gets to a point that the two last remaining beautiful males will be in a position and a time where they go into a full-on battle, and sometimes they lock their horns into a twisting formation like that when they're fighting. And when these horns are locking, you can imagine that they actually break each other's necks and killing each other sometimes in these formations as the horns gets locked and stuck onto it as it is. But yeah, you will find that that is why the testosterone build-up throughout this time of the year is needed for that strong neck muscle systems to build. And that goes as it's coming up to that posture and that beautiful look that we have on that animal. We're going to try and go a tiny bit even further more forward and just see if we can get a nice shot on him, because he's just displaying so nicely in this bush around us here at the moment. Yeah, the wind breeze still being very, very strong actually coming through. And he's being typical kudu. It's sometimes quite a shy antelope. They like to hide as far as they can, as much as they can. Especially because they live in such a dense area, choosing to be browsers. It looks like he's finally disappeared deeper into the thickets there. Yeah, it looks like this beautiful bull has just disappeared into the thickets there. But yeah, let's see what else we can find going down the road. But that was quite stunning and beautiful to see him actually, I always want to say, on the stage represented himself a bit. And posing for a nice shot there. Very beautiful. Ooh, what is that? Just wanting to scan a bit over the dune top here. So yesterday morning we've put a gemsbok cucumber on the screen actually. It's one of them actually on the top of the dune. I thought it might have been a head of a cheetah displaying there. Yeah. So yeah, this road that we're driving on now is going to continue sticking to the bottom of the dune street here, and I think that's our option that we need to stick with now, because that's obviously how we're seeing a bit more animals at the moment rather than the tops of the dunes being very exposed.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm here in Northern California.
This is an Anna's hummingbird. We love seeing him because he brings a little magic and energy to our cold, wintry backyard.
In the winter, they politely visit one at a time, but in the summer, they gorge themselves in groups to prepare for their long migration south. As the hummingbirds fly south, over 1 million of these Canadian geese travel the Pacific Flyway from the Arctic to spend the winter with us. They like wetlands and we're in a drought, but they seem pretty happy on the dry bank of Folsom Lake here. This has been a tough year everywhere, but one good thing was we found Wild Earth, who encouraged us to relieve our stress through nature. There's a saying that
a distraction is momentary, an escape helps you heal.
Being a safari driver requires some serious multitasking ability. You've got to be able to talk, look at the road, steer, and occasionally get the vehicle into the right gear.
Do not crash into any trees. Oh, that's a dozy.
Just jump into the car and hope for the best, and you'll see where it takes you. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm surprised they're moving as fast as that didn't go well.
Who is the best driver? Well, me, of course, although some of the cam-ops might disagree.
My name is Ross, and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is
calm of desperation with the cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops! Oof!
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
We've managed to find them again. Just want to move that branch out of the way. There we go. Awesome, awesome. So they're actually now moving towards the dam area, the Viatella Dam. And they're looking really hungry. They're trying to catch anything they can. Super playful, lots of energy. I think they lost their chance with the waterbuck. That would have just been perfect for them. Can you hear? I'm going to be quiet for a few seconds. Just have a listen to the cacophony going on around us because of the presence of an entire pride of lions. It's a stickler alarm calling. There was a squirrel alarm calling. I can hear helmet strikes alarm calling. Lots and lots of noise to alert us to the presence of lions. Oh, I hope we're gonna get a walk by again. I keep saying a drive-by. I'm the one that drives. They're the one that walk. Shame that one lion has had a stub for a tail at the end. Patrick, you'd like to know how many lions in the Talamati Pride? I'm quite sure it's 15. I haven't seen too much of them, but the last time I was with them, I'm sure it was 15. Oh, there's one close by. Oh, and it turned away. One of the most interesting lionesses to look at in the Talamati Pride is this older lioness who's blind in one eye, but what tends to happen when you're blind in an eye is that it kind of gets very cloudy. And that's because circulation and oxygen to the eye and things like that gets disrupted when it's damaged. And it gets like a gray, cloudy, maybe slightly purple, like purple eye in the Nkuhumas. But the lioness here, who's blind in one eye, hers is almost blue, like crystal blue. And it's really, really gorgeous. I'm hoping that you may have seen her as she was walking by our vehicle a little bit earlier. It seems that everyone's been seeing a little bit more of the Talamatis than the Nkuhumas on Djuma as of recent. It's been a couple months since I've been back, and now it's the last day of this stint. But last time I was here a couple months ago, I was seeing more of the Talamati, still not very frequently, and far less of the Nkuhumas. And in the last 2 months, it seems like almost all the lion sightings in Djuma have been Talamati. Things are certainly changing. There have been a couple times when there have even been the Talamatis and the Nkuhumas on Djuma at the same time. And it's the dark-maned avoca that we see most often with the Talamatis. I didn't see him today, though. I was just thinking about going a little bit forward, but there's a bit of a drop there. Lucy, you'd like to know if lion population is on the rise? No, it's not. It is declining. And that's something to always be aware of. So a population may not be critically endangered or endangered, but if the population is on a decline, that's a bad thing altogether, because it means eventually it will become critically endangered, and that's definitely not what we want. Predator populations are far less than prey or herbivore population, and that's for obvious reasons. One gets eaten and is a food source, and the other one is not. But a lack of predators leaves a hole. It opens basically up Pandora's box. Environments will change, vegetation will change, because there's an influx of herbivores and no predators to take them out. And what's constantly happening in a savanna habitat like this is that there's a fight, constant battle going on that none of us can really see, but it's a battle between grassland and forest. And that's why we have this in-between, this bush or bushveld. And these fine things, predator population, herbivore populations, insect populations, bird populations, all of that keep this in check. All of that provides variety across the continent and across the globe, really. All those things preserve the biodiversity and allow each other to exist the way that they do. And if one thing goes extinct, it pulls from bushveld to forest or whatever, because things get, the grass gets basically so well consumed that the trees can take over. All those things are something to think about. That's why we really need to appreciate everything around us. The predators, the prey, the insects, the small mammals, the nocturnal creatures, everything keeping the environment the way that we see it right now. And things will always change, and the earth will always be okay. But we don't want to be the reason to accelerate any of those processes, do we? Definitely not. Well, I'm glad that we could spend this time with our lions, the Telematis, and I hope that they'll be around this afternoon. If I don't see you this afternoon, have a wonderful time until the next time I see you, and thank you for your